Welcome to Meeple Podcast, Season 5.
Welcome back to the channel. From 2006 to 2023, we have seen 17 Carcassonne World Championships, with 14 different winners. Rakefut, a 4-time world champion, has already been on this podcast. We have also had the pleasure of hosting Vladimir Kovalev on a couple of occasions, as well as the last two winners, Alpa Guerra and Matt Tucker. Our guest today is the 2019 champion, who also reached the final the previous year, finishing as runner-up to the famous Genro Fujimoto. He's a prominent player who has competed in the MCO not only in its online version, the Grand Prix, but also in London, facing some of the best international players. Additionally, he has been a great collaborator of the WTCOC since it started in 2020, working alongside Pere Vives, Elias Mochan, Kerry Ali and Dan Chart. From Carcassonne, Romania, he has always brought together great players and participated in team competitions as their captain. He is also an active participant in an international WhatsApp chat, which has over 100 well-known members in the community. Today he joins us in this episode to share his experience and knowledge. Marian Curcan, Mars15 on BGA, it's a pleasure to have you with us on Meeple Podcast.
Hello, thank you for having me. It is a pleasure.
You are a well-known player on the international stage. You have been participating in Carcassonne tournaments for a long time. You have had an account on BGA since 2014 and have played around 6,000 games. Tell us about your beginnings and how you got into competitive play.
Well, exactly today I got the Ancestor badge, which means 10 years of seniority on BGA. I remember it was 2012 when I won a game of Carcassonne at Catan National Tournament, and I started discovering it, playing mainly presential, not online. Later I discovered BGA and I started to play more and more, training for the National Championship. In 2016, I participated for the first time in the World Championship but performed poorly, and I realized I have to improve a lot and started to play even more.
BGA has improved a lot over time. Recently the log and tile interface have changed. What other changes would you like to see? Some players mention customizing the time control clock.
What I would like to see implemented is a 3D version of the game to resemble more a presential game. Time control is something that we all have to improve.
The greatest interaction of players began on BGA years ago and has grown with the WTCOC, social networks and streamings. Tell us about the first edition of the WTCOC in 2020 and its impact on the Carcassonne community.
Oh, the idea of WTCOC meant a lot for the community. I would dare to say that it created it in the first place. People were eager to play and to compete during the pandemic. In that period, BGA implemented the arena format, which added more competitivity for the game. The first edition of WTCOC was very exciting, being something new and adding the collaborative part where you had to perform not only as a person but also as a team. We performed pretty well, reaching semifinals and having some good victories.
What other online competitions besides the WTCOC do you think are important? Tell us about them and your opinion.
I think every team competition is important for the community. I was invited to play in the Brazilian Team Championship where my team managed to win the first place. I really enjoyed it, actually more than the big individual turn-based competitions on BGA which happen every year, King of Carcassonne and Carcassonne World Cup. Being part of a team is something different. When it comes to importance, let's remember that tournaments on BGA are friendly competitions, even if winning them gives you some sort of prestige. But all that matters are the real competitions with real trophies, not a virtual badge on a playing platform.
In the community, there are groups on WhatsApp and forums like Carcassonne Forum and Carcassonne Central. What future do you see for these connections and what do they bring besides entertainment? Could there be large collaborations like the WTCOC?
Yes, for sure. In the past, we discussed the idea of creating a Carcassonne International Federation. We will gather, even if slowly, other less attractive mind sports federations like Carcassonne can have one.
You are the captain of the Romanian team. Tell us about Carcassonne Romania, its members and its capabilities as a competitive group.
I am honored to be part of a team with a lot of national champions and 2 world champions, really great players and persons. Every year we meet at the national championship and we really enjoy the moment. I think we as a team have a lot of potential which we didn't reach yet. I would love to win an edition of WTCOC once. I really believe we can do it. We were close on many occasions.
In the WTCOC, some teams don't rotate their players much. Why do you think this happens? How do you see the difference between countries with fixed players and teams with frequent changes?
It is up to each team to create their own strategy which suits the best for them. I understand that the idea of rotating players is to have as many people as possible which enjoy the event, but all teams that want to win has a core of fixed reliable players and others which can help the team if needed. Countries that have a lot of passionate players tend to rotate them the most because they all want to play and to prove their value, while others prefer to remain compact. The difference is that such teams are more homogeneous and the team spirit is not affected as much.
What has been your highest elo record in Carcassonne on BGA?
I think I had somewhere around 775 elo, but the elo is not my main focus. I play mainly to train.
What is more important to you in online play? The elo, the position in arena, the tournament results, or playing well and feeling that you gave your best regardless of the result?
Certainly the last option. Some players like to have this prestige given by the elo, but let's face it, it's quite a fake one. Real prestige is given by trophies, not performing well on a training platform.
What is the difference between most expert players and the elite of masters like Alexei, Melvin Quaresma, Otto Ikonen and the other top German and Japanese players?
I guess you consider these players elite masters because they reached 800 elo at some point, but I'm more reserved on that matter because who knows how they reach it. Having helpers or not, who knows who they played with when, and so on. My idea of elite masters is different. It must be someone who won the world championship in the first place, and if possible more than once, which are Ralph and Pantelis. Anyway, the question stands. I also asked myself this question when I wanted to improve. What is the difference between an expert and a master? And I came to the conclusion that the difference is patience, resilience, and mental strength.
What would you say is your greatest strength as a competitive player?
Mental strength and the apprentice attitude. Being capable of calmly calculate every possibility, especially towards the end game, recovering quickly from defeats, and being curious of learning and improving every time.
Do you have a favorite tactical move on an easy to understand strategy that you can share?
Yes, I used to call it a Mars farmer. It's when you place a farmer on a field where the opponent is about to close a city and thus preventing him on placing a farmer on its own.
Although they are complementary, what do you prefer, online play or live play?
I prefer live play because it's more personal. The feeling of throwing and holding the needed tile cannot be matched.
I want to ask you some more fun questions that I find interesting and that might also be interesting for the podcast listeners. But first, I want to take a quick break to ask you about the Romanian Championship, your participation and your brother, Wolfgang Curcan's victory. How did it feel? Tell us about your experience.
I knew it was going to be very difficult to win it again. A lot of players are masters of this game and others have improved a lot. Last year I lost to Bogdan in semi-final and this year in quarter-final. It was crazy. I trained like half a year and he still managed to beat me just like that. I guess it's just pure talent. I'm very happy for him, for his title. I know he wanted it so much and for so long time. And I'm really excited to support him in the World Championship next month.
Alright, can you share a memorable story from your years playing Carcassonne, whether in tournaments or just casual games?
My favorite memorable story of Carcassonne is playing with my brother at the 2021 World Championship. He was representing UK back then, but playing with him on the biggest stage, considering that we learned the game together, was something precious.
What game do you remember most fondly, or consider the most challenging on your career?
I remember several important games for me in the World Championship. The semi-final against Thomas Proich from 2018, when I put an end of his streak of almost 20 consecutive victories. The lost final from the same year, when I faced Genro Fujimoto in his best shape. The quarterfinal against Takafumi Mochizuki from 2019, and of course the most challenging was the final from 2019, when I recovered like 40 points in the last 4 moves, equalizing my opponent and securing the title. In that year I played with the latest 4 world champions and I won against 3 of them.
What common mistake do you see in novice players? And what advice would you give to new players interested in competitive Carcassonne?
The most common mistake that I noticed to beginners is spending all meeples and throwing a lot of tiles because of that. Meeples are the most important resource of the game, if not the only one. You must be very careful with that.
How do you balance your personal life with your passion for Carcassonne?
Sometimes I realize that I spend too much time playing online. It's the only addiction I have, I suppose. But luckily I have an understanding wife that shares my hobby. I try to have some months in a year when I'm Carcassonne free, but it's very difficult.
What other board games do you enjoy?
I wish I spent more time discovering new board games. There are a lot of beautiful and interesting ones out there. I enjoy playing Wingspan, Takenoko, Terraforming Mars, Ticket to Ride, Catan, Pandemic, Seven Wonders, Stone Age, Splendor.
What other activities do you do outside the realm or board games?
I used to play a lot of sports like football, tennis, badminton. I also enjoy watching various sports, mainly football, Grand Slam, tennis tournaments, snooker. Every 2 years I collect stickers with footballers from World Cup and Euro.
Tell us something important that I haven't asked you in this interview.
Have I ever mentioned that I have 2 cats that like to destroy every board game box by cuddling in them even if they are way too small for them? No, more seriously, I'm really happy that I'm part of this community where I can share my passion for board games with other people from all around the globe.
What are your short and medium-term challenges?
I would really love to create a board game that will be played competitively, but for the moment I'm focusing on competing at what I know and discovering new board games.
Dear friend, I hope you have enjoyed it, sharing and reflecting on your connection to this wonderful game. Take a break from it whenever you can to keep going strong.
Thank you very much for your attention and for giving me the opportunity to share a few things about me.
A greeting to the entire podcast audience. See you in the next episode.
We'll go to the park, laugh away the blues. People will stare, asking have they lost their minds. And when it gets dark, we'll play our favorite tune, heart and soul. Dance under the moon when